All right, you guys, welcome back. I'm Ross. Last time I was able to diagram the network both with a Sharpie and paper as well as in Microsoft Paint. Before that, I was able to unbox the Cisco router, the Cisco switch, and I got to take a look at that Netgear Nighthawk I'm going to use as an access point, as well as that network attached storage, that NAS, that NAS. Up next, I just need to put the rack together and then rack and stack the equipment. But before that, I just want to check out this configuration between the router and the switch. I just want to see if an ether channel can be built between the router and switch. Let's dive deeper into what I'm worried about. Let's talk about spine leaf topology. This is going to be the spine of the network or the topology, two routers. After that, what's going to sprout off is the switches. This is an example of spine leaf topology. Even though we've got three switches, so that would be leaves. A spine with three leaves. This is used to create redundancy with different connections. With the router, it's definitely going to be gigabit and fast Ethernet connections. And then with the switches, I'd like to think just fast Ethernet connections. See if we can fit a fourth one in here, a fourth connection. There we go. So this is an example of spine leaf topology. Two routers, three switches, a lot of circles, a lot of squares, really, really expensive. This is what I'm trying to avoid. All right. Because as of right now, I have that Cisco 4331 router. And then I have that Cisco 2960X switch. What I'm worried about happening is that I would have to buy an inexpensive older switch for that redundancy. And that would definitely mean 2 gigabit Ethernet connections going to the router. And then fast Ethernet connections for the ether channel between the two switches. And then from there, connecting the different devices to the different switches. On the right, this will be, I guess, the older, less expensive switch. So I could put the NAS there. Just plug that in. And then with the 2960X, I would definitely want to plug in that access point, that Netgear Nighthawk, and other end user devices. Little razzle dazzle like that. So yeah, this right here is what I'm trying to avoid. I just want to be able to have an ether channel going between my Cisco router and my Cisco switch, just trying to practice that collapsed core topology instead. And then later down the line, here in maybe a couple years, then I can get more switches, get more cable, get more devices, bigger and better NASes, network attached storages, uh, other devices. Maybe even get like some physical servers going with some files and data as well. But yeah, this right here, this is what I'm trying to avoid. In class, we learned about EtherChannel, LACP, link aggregation, all of that good stuff, but I've never seen a diagram or an example of an EtherChannel going between a Cisco router and a Cisco switch. So I'm pretty excited. I hope you are too. Up next, I'm going to crack open Cisco Packet Tracer and we're going to take a look. We may even learn something. All right, guys, let's go ahead and we are going to dive into Packet Tracer. What I want to do with Packet Tracer right now is basically do a mock configuration between the router and the switch. I've got Cisco Packet Tracer opened up here. We can tell it's open because in big letters it says Cisco Packet Tracer. Allow me to treat you to a pro tip. If you're currently part of the Cisco Networking Academy, whether in person or whether it's instructor led or whether you're doing it on your own, you're going to want to use Cisco Networking Academy. But if you are an adult learner like myself, you just graduated with your CCNA and you are trying to do your own configurations, you're going to want to choose Cisco Skills for All. I'll save you some time Googling. I'll save you a couple days worth of troubleshooting. So for a guy like me, an adult learner like me, when I click on Cisco Networking Academy, it opens up a modal of what is supposed to be Cisco NetAcad website. Click on login, and it's spinning, and spinning, and spinning. Do you feel how awkward it is right now? It's just going to keep doing this. No matter what. No matter what you click on, no matter what you scroll through, it's just going to keep spinning. Then you X out of the modal, and now you're back on the Cisco Packet Tracer. So what happens when you click on the Cisco Skills for All, and you're a CCNA graduate such as myself, it just wants you to log in. And then you get the confirmation message, you have successfully logged into Packet Tracer. We can close this tab. And voila, here we are. We are officially logged in properly into Cisco Packet Tracer as a CCNA graduate adult learner. I don't want to spend too much time in Packet Tracer. There are several modules, several courses on Cisco Net Academy you can take for free. Fantastic way to learn about Cisco Packet Tracer. Just going to go at the bottom here. For the router, I'm going to choose the 4331. That's going to be as close as I'm going to be able to get to what is going to be in my home network. And then we just go over to switches. I have a 2960X switch. Looks like the closest I'm going to get is a 2960. Nice. So far, so good. Let's zoom in a little bit. Don't have to work our eyes so hard. All right, let's get some cabling going. You just click on that lightning bolt, and then you just click on the cable, and then we have a list of the ports. So for this router here, we definitely want to use gigabit Ethernet. Going to use 000. Going to go to the switch, and definitely want it to match up to, yeah, gigabit Ethernet 01. And then we do the same thing with this second cable. Here we go. Make sure you want to click on the lightning bolt, and then you want to click on the appropriate cable, because, yeah, you click on the lightning bolt, it's going to automatically choose your connections for you, choose your cabling for you, and it can lead to little error messages like that. So you just want to make sure you got the cable you want to use clicked on, and then we're going back to gigabit Ethernet 001. We're just using the gigabit ports, man. Absolutely. We go back to gigabit Ethernet 02 on the switch, and here we go. In Cisco Packet Tracer, we officially have our router and our switch connected together. Now we just got to configure it. So here is the file I'm kind of working on. I'm trying to write out the steps as I go. So right now, here's the router configuration, switch configuration, straight up boilerplate from previous Cisco labs from class. Yeah, I got the July date in there, got 3 o'clock. That's when class ended. I wanted to be home by that time. So yeah, definitely, I have, that's why I have 3 o'clock there, 1500. And then from there, it should be getting the chunk of code for the router on a stick configuration. And then once again, I want to use LACP for that EtherChannel. So this is where that code would slide in there. And then here's basically 2 files. I was able to consolidate everything into 2 random files of everything I ever wrote while getting my CCNA. Um, this should be a random configuration from one of my final labs. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead. We'll just copy and paste. This is the steps for LACP. So just go ahead and we'll put that in there. It's pretty exciting. Once again, haven't done an ether channel between a router and switch before. Theoretically, it can be done. So we got that part there. And then the router on a stick configuration, that should be fairly simple. I know I don't have it labeled router on a stick. I know that. Yeah, there we go. Switch 1 VLAN and trunking configuration. We'll take that slice here, just kind of copy and paste. That should slide nicely in there. Should be a nice way to double check the configuration on the switch. That's the thing, is you guys are going to end up watching me copy and paste this stuff. And when it comes to copying and pasting, I've accidentally learned the hard way in class. You don't want to accidentally skip steps. You want to definitely triple check and make sure everything is being done in the correct order. So we just take this slice here. I'm not worried. I'll have to double check those interface names. But for these networks, I'm not too worried about it right now, man. I'm just trying to get the test up and running so you guys can see it, so I can see it. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to stick with it, being it's just a mock config. It's a mock configuration. All right, so we got these pieces now in this file that I will directly copy and paste from into Cisco Packet Tracer. So I'll just take the time to clean it up a little bit. Um, and then after that, up next, then I'll be able to go over what is the code doing. Not line by line. That'd be kind of boring. But yeah, definitely go over what is happening. And here we are. Let's just go over these scripts real quick. First, we got the router configuration and the switch configuration. This is just boilerplate from previous Cisco classes, uh, creating passwords, put that no IP domain lookup to prevent typos from searching for domains, creating passwords, securing the system, putting in a little message of the day in there. Anytime I can reference RoboCop from 1987, classic film, I do. Pretty much the same thing with the switch configuration here. I'll update the date here probably to sometime in August. That way I don't confuse myself of anything. And then, yeah, setting the time to 3 o'clock, just old habit. Back when I was getting my CCNA, taking it at Tulsa Tech, I definitely wanted to be out the classroom by 3 p.m. If I was still in the class, I was working too hard. I needed to take a break, go home, think about the lab, come back tomorrow, continue working. Then we have setting up the router on a stick configuration. All we're doing on switch 1 is creating the VLANs and saving them, even making sure to create a default VLAN and the management VLAN. And then after we got the management VLAN created, we create the management interface with a default gateway. And then from there, we just basically assign what access ports are going to be using what VLAN on the switch. In this case, once again, simple boilerplate from previous classes, from previous labs, just grabbing this random fast Ethernet port number 6, setting it to be accessed, and then just assigning all the VLANs to it, making sure it's activated with that no shut command, and then exit to make sure everything saves properly. Then from there, using the gigabit Ethernet ports, basically making those trunk ports, assigning the native VLAN and letting it know that all the VLANs are allowed, making sure it's all activated with that no shut, and then saving it. Then from there, it's going over to the router and configuring the router with the interfaces. I'm just going to use that G0/0/1 port, assigning it the sub interface and the VLANs to those sub interfaces there, those default gateways. And then once again, making sure that G0/0/1 is activated. I like to go the extra mile for my sanity and make sure I put descriptions in whenever possible. Okay, so from there, we've configured the router, configured the switch, we've done the router on the stick, we've assigned the ports, we've created the VLANs, all that stuff. Now it's time to try to create the EtherChannel. What I did with that, in order to prevent confusion, I just created 2 separate scripts, one for the switch, one for the router. So we configured everything. All we got to do is shut down the interfaces, those gigabit Ethernet interfaces. Then we make sure that those gigabit Ethernet ports are in trunk mode. Then from there, we configure the EtherChannel. We just go right into LACP mode, make sure that it's active. And then we actually create the interface, port channel interface. We bring it up, we make sure it's in trunk mode, and then we activate it with that no shutdown. And then from there, we jump right back into the actual physical interfaces, the actual physical ports themselves with those gigabit Ethernet ports, and we make sure those are still activated with that no shutdown. here's what creating an ether channel looks like. Just one big block of text, just random boilerplate from a previous class. And then in order to prevent me confusing myself even further, here's all the scripts without the steps, just blocks of text to copy and paste. Copy and paste from the router, copy and paste for the switch. Make sure to label all the text blocks properly so I know what is being pasted where. The switch and then the router. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Up next, all we got to do is copy and paste these blocks of text into the router, into the switch, in Cisco Packet Tracer to test that configuration. Can we, once again, create router on a stick, create all the VLANs, and then from there create an ether channel between the router and the switch? Never did that in class. I just created ether channels between different switches, other devices, but never between a router and a switch. So this will be exciting. We may all learn something. We got the router, we got the switch. Just copy this block here, go right into the router first. Click return, and then we just paste right in there. Click enter. And then the configuration is applied. Do the same thing with the switch. All right. And now we're still on the switch. I made sure to add a config T line, make sure we get in the proper mode. And we just paste these settings right into the switch as well. Double check here. All right. Looks like interface VLAN 99, change state to up. Definitely was configured. Okay, so it looks like we have an error here. Invalid input. Switch port access VLAN 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Looks like it's right. There, but at the same time, worked on that. I'll worry about that here in a second. Let's make sure we can get the router sub interfaces, get the router configured first for this router on a stick. Because once again, the point of this is to see, can we get the router on a stick working with an ether channel? Only one VLAN or more than one VLAN being applied to different ports. I don't plan on using for this configuration. I'm not too worried about. Okay. Changing state to up. No error messages there, which means I got that exit command put in the right spot. Those exit commands are what saves those changes, saves those configurations, gets those applied. All right. So now we're going to see if we can get these ether channels up and running. All right, let's just do a quick config T. Make sure this is copied and pasted, even though I already copied it already. Let's just get this copy and pasted here. All right, change state. Good, good, good. Okay. Good. Good. Switch port mode trunk. Well, that's okay because that's going to be redundant on both ends. Once again, I'm just doing switch port mode trunk because that is a setting, or it was a setting on Cisco Packet Tracer. So far I'm getting all the errors I was hoping to get. That's what I'm getting. All this stuff I'm expecting to see, I was expecting to see. Once again, just trying to see if we can get this ether channel working with the router on a stick. An ether channel between a router and a switch. And see, I didn't do the config T command because I got distracted trying to explain my thought process. All right, there we go. Okay.
All right, timeout. So we logged into Cisco Packet Tracer. We set it up with the router and the switch. I ran some scripts straight out of my classroom, straight out of my lab work for my CCNA, but now I'm getting different results. Probably because I'm trying to run an ether channel and do VLANs and trunks between the router and the switch rather than switch to switch and then doing the router on a stick kind of thing. So now basically we've tested the configuration in this episode. Up next, now we got to fix the configuration before we move on. Good problem to have.